welcome to Flooring Models kit review time. Today we're just going to have a quick look at glues. I've been given this new one, which is this new orange cement, and I'm going to explain the different uses, why I use them, when I use them, and how to use them. So basically down here, this is my glues of choice. So as you can see, Tamiya pretty much all the way through. So what we've got down here is different varieties. So we've actually got the Tamiya ones. These are basically all going to be a weld action glue. Okay, they're going to take a little bit of time, but it's basically it heats or melts the plastic together. Okay, down here we've got your standard Zappa Gap, which is Superglue. Okay, and then we've got down here is a PVA glue. Now, just to start with, looking at these three glues down here, when to use them, how to use them, and all the rest of it. Now, the difference between these two, from what I can tell, is literally this comes in a nice big square bottle, this one comes in a little bottle. That is the only difference I can actually see, and I've tested it and I can't tell any difference. And you know, you go the usual sort of sniff test, you know, and they smell identical as well. So it's not like there's one that's a different smell. As in the viscosity, as in the drippiness and all the rest of it, I can't really find any difference either. It seems to be just the same. So I've looked online and all the rest of it, and I can't see any difference apart from the size of the bottle. So this is a 20ml bottle. This is a bigger, what is this one these days, 40ml? Should normally say on it somewhere through the EU laws, but perhaps it didn't come in that way, but it doesn't say. And also it's got down here of what it is. So it's a styrene organic solvent. We can see down here on the writing down on here, so it contains acetone, butanol, and other things. I'm just seeing what it is. So this one down here does say synthetic resin, organic solvent, and all the rest of it. So perhaps there could be a little bit of difference down in there, but basically they work the same. Now, when you're using the glues, what we're really looking at is different ways of doing it. Now, if you've got a situation where perhaps like we've got down here, got a little bit of detail, we've got panel lining, some raised, some sunken and everything else like that. So what we want to do is come in with something like this, and you can see it's not the best fit in the world and all the rest of it, but we can line it up. Okay, so this is when I would use this particular glue. Now, using this one is what we call a capillary action glue. So what happens is you come along and you literally just brush it over your said area, and you can give it quite a large coating just like this. And even if you've got a gap at the back there, and then you can pinch it together, and then it evaporates and it leaves no glue marks whatsoever. And that is the beauty with this stuff. Also, it dries quite quickly as well. You don't have to hang around and peg it up and leave it forever. It should dry literally within 10 to 15 minutes. It's totally workable to be able to sand it and all the rest of it, but obviously depending on the thickness of the glue you put down. Downside to this stuff is the capillary action. Whilst it is your best friend for being able to run around and absolutely everywhere, as you can see here, it's stuck to my finger. The reason for that is it's run down the actual panel and I've left a fingerprint because it just flows. It goes. So literally we touched it down there and it flowed all the way around, got into my nails. It's melting because that's what it's doing. It's melting the plastic, and that's why it stuck to my fingers, but that's why it works so well. So it's great as long as you're careful. So if you're using rubber bands to hold things together, pegs, stuff like that, just make sure it's not going to flow underneath, otherwise you're going to end up with it melted through. But as you can see, that side is done, no problem. And then you'd come back on the other side, okay, and you can just give it another liberal coat right over the top, and away you go. The other thing that's great with it as well, if you've got small imperfections in the surfaces, it will melt them and just drive them all together. This is what I call a hot action glue, okay, and it's fantastic, and it's revolutionized the way modeling is done right the way through. Okay, your other two, which are these two here, are more of your surface types. It doesn't have the flow. It's not like a capillary action. It's very much localized where it goes to. Also, it doesn't dry as quick, so that's really, really handy for us modelers if you're doing such a bigger area. Also, this one, whilst this one is literally a contact, so you just touch it and it flows and away you go, this one you can actually brush it where you want it to go. So this one down on here, you can come along, okay, and you can actually put it like the old-fashioned way of running it the part on between the two surfaces. So there's two ways of doing this. You can either do one, or you can physically do both parts if you want a very strong bond. And what will happen is this will slightly melt the surface, okay, but it's not a totally hot action glue like we were just using. and then you can come along, okay, and you can push it together. But the thing is, you get the squish mark out of it and all the rest of it. As you can see it bubbling up just around there. What this stuff doesn't particularly like is where we would try and come along and brush it on, because it doesn't do anything. It sits on the surface and really doesn't go anywhere. Okay, so it's not like it's flowing in deep and getting it in. The good thing is though, with this particular stuff, if you've brushed two halves and put it together, it is an ultimate fix. Okay, it's going to give you a solid bond right the way through, so you have no problem with it. Okay. This one, again, basically works exactly the same. Alright, it's a little bit of a giant brush on these. Unfortunately, they've really gone to town on the brush on it. But you'd come along, okay, and you can just brush over the top and let it go through. But what it's going to do is both of these glues, or all three of these glues, it's going to melt the surface of the plastic and bring it together. Then you've got things like Superglue. This is your old favourite crazy glue, okay? This doesn't melt anything, but it's instant. Okay, so it's got a great gap capability filling. You can use it for doing little tiny filler jobs through to putting large parts together. Okay, the only thing is, because there's no weld action, it's a soft join, as I call it. So what can happen is, if you need to get things off, you can do it. I use it for weapon fits, pylons, undercarriage doors, things like that. Not only is it quick to put them on, you put them there and it's on. If it takes a hit, where normal glue perhaps it might bend the part or certainly break off the part, it will just ping away. You've got a nice clean thing. You can scrape clean it afterwards, stick it back on, everyone's fine, not a problem with it. Okay, so Superglue has a great thing. Obviously resin at the end of the day as well. You know, unless you're going to go with something like a 5-minute epoxy, which is notoriously messy and all the rest of it, Superglue is definitely the way to go. And also photo etch parts, so anything that isn't styrene based, that's the glue you really want to go with. Your last one up is your standard PVA. Now from my point of view, I love this stuff. This is the crystal clear. I still haven't found anything that's better than it at the end of the day. I use it for doing canopies. Reason for it is, one, you don't have any worry about fogging or anything else like that. If you do need to get back in there at a later date, perhaps you have got fogging, dust in there, a part comes loose, you can just literally whip a blade around it, pull it off, clean it up, re-glue it, put it back on, no damage whatsoever. So it's absolutely great. I also like it for using it for putting on small metal parts and things like that. So you can see down here on this engine, all this metal work that you can see all the way around here, and all the things in there is all done with PVA glue. Again, the great thing about it is it's thick, it holds the part there, and then it dries, and it gives you a very strong bond, where again, super glue can be a little bit, if you touch it and it pings off, you've lost it. This is a lot stronger bond. So really, between all three of these guys, you should be able to create a model with strength as well as cleanliness and all the rest of it. So you say the extra thin is great, weld action goes through, just be careful how you use it. Okay, you've got this other one which is like the white cement, or obviously here in the orange as well. The great thing with those is that it gives you drying time. So if it's a big thing and you're going to want to run around it and then sandwich them together, I do recommend doing both halves though, then sticking it together. You'll get a far better join than just doing one side and then sticking to it. Okay, and then you've obviously got things like your super glues. As I said, you could use them for tiny little jobs, putting on small delicate parts, and then generally working with resin and photo etch, stuff like that. And then my good old favourite, crystal clear, which then you'd use on clear parts especially. That's where I use it, and again using it for photo etch, manoeuvring, sandwiching photo etch. You can manoeuvre it around before it dries and everything else like that. Okay, and again with this type of stuff, you can do small windows with it. We did it on the airliner recently, stuff like that, and give you crystal clear windows right the way through. So basically that's my glues of choice, and that's how I use them. Hope you found that helpful.